I wanted this to be an Onion article. I wanted this to be fake. I wanted this to not be real. You know, it feels like I'm beating a dead horse sometimes when I talk about MTG, and not Magic the Gathering, but Marjorie Taylor Greene. It feels like I'm talking about something to death. The difference for me, though, is when you're beating a dead horse, nothing new has happened. With Marjorie, unfortunately, there's always something new happening, and it's just too much. It's just too much. So let's go ahead and get into the fan art section before we talk about the recent several things that have happened, and then we will get into everything else. So the first piece of fan art here is from a person named Sunny Poppy. Actually, they were not the ones that posted it in the Discord. Their sister did. Said my sister made fan art, or that their sibling did. I don't know if it's their sister or not. They have a picture of Velma, so I assume. So my sister made fan art for you, and since she doesn't have a Discord, doesn't want to open it for whatever reason, I thought that I could share it through my own Discord. Here's her Twitter, where you can find the rest of her artwork. So just so everybody knows, I actually did find her Twitter, where that artwork is, and commissioned a piece. 1 second. So that's actually where that artwork came from, is I got this piece of fan art, went, oh, I actually really like the style. It's very nice and clean. So I went ahead and commissioned an artwork for it that we use on the stream now. So yeah, thank you very much, Sunny Poppy. I greatly appreciate the fan art. And hopefully the shout out will help you get more commissions. We will see. The next one we have is from Robotic Kitty. They said, update to my fan art, just coloring, nothing else yet. Going slow because still sick. Sorry. Robotic Kitty, never feel sorry for doing anything that it, like, never feel sorry for not making fan art fast enough. Never do that. Never do that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The fact that I get fan art at all still just, it still astounds me. And I am excited anytime any piece of fan art is dropped. The last one we have is from Random Griffin Cat. It said a pencil-drawn furry Suris. Colors are weird because of bad lighting. I'm working on a digital recreation now. Well, I'm excited to see what the digital version will look like, but I do think there's definitely charm to color pencil and like any color pencil and crayon drawings. There's a certain charm to that aesthetic that I can't deny. So definitely thank you for dropping this in, Random Griffin Cat. As always, everybody, if you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With all that said, let's go ahead and get right in the topic at hand. 1 second. So we're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? And again, I hate talking about her, but there's more stuff has happened recently. We have a video first, and then we have some information.
If Christian nationalism is something to be scared of, they're lying to you.
Christian nationalism. Let's look up a definition of Christian nationalism. Why not? Christian nationalism is Christianity-affiliated religious nationalism. Christian nationalists focus primarily on internal politics, such as passing laws that reflect their view of Christianity and its role in political and social life. So we have a separation from church and state. So this is already kind of alarming. Nationalism on its own, generally speaking, is one step above patriotism, as opposed to just being proud of the country that you grew up in or the country that you're part of. You instead are more blindly loyal to it. Nationalism also tends to be either isolationist or imperialistic. Either you want your country to be divorced from every other country because your country is better benefited by just being an island on its own, or you need your country's influence to spread everywhere. Nationalism in America tends to be this weird hybrid of imperialism because we spread our influence through our military, but then also isolationism, where they're like, don't send money to a country that is getting invaded by Russia. We need to look after our own. Don't talk about the troops we sent out to other locations in the world in order to keep corporate interests in check. No, let's not think about any of that. So when you take that idea, that blindly loyal idea to your country, and you add religiosity into it, now you've created this feedback loop. Because you can question the things where your country is concerned, right? Like, man, I was under the pretense that we were going to give liberty to this one country, and now I realize that we weren't giving liberty. We're actually just making things worse for the local populace. Like, that's a thing that happens. And under a nationalistic idea alone, you can kind of understand, at least at a baseline, that, okay, maybe we've pushed too far in one particular direction. But when you add religiosity to it, especially monotheistic Christian religiosity, now that idea of being able to question things starts to go out the window. Because after all, who are you to question God? Let's go ahead and take a look at what else Marjorie has to say here.
And they're lying to you on purpose, because that is exactly the temperature change that is happening in America today, and they can't control it. They can't control it, and that's what terrifies them the most.
Unironically, she is correct. Unironically, I have to agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. The scariest thing about Christian nationalism is the fact that it is nigh uncontrollable. It is part of a zeitgeist fervor that has plagued our nation for a long time. There's a reason there's another video on my channel. It's either up after this one or before this one. Depends on what Sherry's release schedule is for them. But in my mind, one of the worst things we have in America is the idea that we should be blind patriots. The idea that there's something about America that sets us apart from other nations. And realistically, there's not. We're dependent on international trade like other nations. We suffer from the exact same problems as other nations. The solutions are largely the same as in other nations. Taxes work the same in other nations. So the fact that we have a unique tax system makes no fucking sense. The fact that we have a unique approach on guns makes no fucking sense. The fact that we have this unique perspective on freedom of speech makes no fucking sense. These are all things that are not unique to us, and yet somehow we have this weird fetish of saying these are uniquely American problems. That's what blind nationalism gets you.
You see, if we're going to label it Christian nationalism, this movement will actually be the movement that stops the school shootings. This will be the movement that stops the crime in our streets. This will be the movement that...
Hold on, what did she say? Christian nationalism is the movement that will do what?
That stops the school shootings. This will be the movement that stops the crime in our streets.
So for all of those years that Christian nationalism has done absolutely fuck all nothing to stop crime and to stop school shootings, and the fact that school shootings are going up with a rise of that nationalistic fervor, why does she think that this is going to somehow fix things? Like, this is the underpants gnomes of conservatism. Step 1, Christian nationalism. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, profit. I'm missing the step 2, Marjorie. I'm missing the how.
This will be the movement that stops the sexual immorality and teaches children and brings them up in traditional families and loving homes.
So I'm not sure if anybody caught that dog whistle there. My ears are bleeding a little bit from it. But that was an anti-LGBTQ dog whistle. When somebody says the traditional family, you hear, the white picket fence. Yes, I remember that. I love that. That's so cute. But no, what it really is it's saying that non-nuclear family models, so gay couples who happen to adopt, that's a non-nuclear family model. Polyamorous relationships, whether or not they involve children, that's a non-nuclear model. All of these things are considered not the traditional family. If she's wanting to indoctrinate people to where they only see that particular type of family as viable, it does make things more comfortable for her, sure. Yep, single parents, also not part of the traditional nuclear family model. When you do this reject modernity, embrace tradition thing, you have to have a why. Elsewise, you're just doing the appeal to tradition fallacy. This is an appeal to antiquity. Because these relationship styles were considered the norm for so long, does not necessarily mean that they are better in any way, shape, or form.
This will be the movement that protects kids' innocence and nurtures them into responsible adults that grow up to be successful moms and dads wanting to pursue a family of their own.
So, a successful dad to her is likely somebody who is going out and working and almost never home. A successful mom to her is likely a stay-at-home mother. And while that's a wonderful fantasy for some families, most people can't afford that right now. There's a growing wage gap and disparity in the nation at the moment, and there probably always will be. As a result, you can't really do things off one income comfortably. You can't. It takes some very special circumstances to do things off of a single income for most households. But yeah, no, this is the train up a child thing. Really, this is a way to try to breed a workforce. That's what this is.
This will be the movement that finally does something about our debt, because it's something that all of us should be ashamed of.
Christian nationalism will somehow affect the debt. Meanwhile, whenever we have Democratic presidents in the White House, the national debt tends to go down. And when we have Republican presidents in the White House, the national debt tends to go up. I wonder why that is. You were the Guardian. Thank you very much for the follow.
Should have never happened. This will be the movement that cares about broken and lost communities, communities that are always forgotten about.
So what she says when she says broken and lost communities, it's very vague. Let's see if she actually gives details.
Christians should never forget about those people, and we don't. So
those people, those broken and lost communities, but how are they broken? And can you name those communities? Are you naming communities of minority groups? Are you naming communities like the LGBTQ, which constantly have to deal with being thrown out of their own homes prematurely by Christian bigoted parents? Are these the communities you're talking about? Or are you talking about, like, rural truckers? I bet she won't give context because she wants you to fill in the blanks. Because despite the fact that Marjorie basically got her political position by default, her opponent literally just yeeted out of the state, and so she got in without any actual votes. Despite that reality, she is still a very skilled, silver-tongued politician. And somebody might go, no, she's not. She's stupid. No, I can literally identify the rhetorical tactics she's using. And remember, if you consume political content and you're able to identify the same silver-tonguedness, you're able to identify the double usages, the dog whistles, when you're able to identify those things, please understand, most people don't consume political content. Most people cannot identify those things. They can't.
So while the media is going to lie about you and label Christian nationalism, and they're probably going to call it domestic terrorism, I'm going to tell you right now, they're the liars.
So let's talk about this. Christian nationalism on its own is not domestic terrorism. However, as a movement, it has a proclivity to manifest in such a way.
And if anybody's a domestic terrorist, it's the radical left. They're the domestic terrorist.
The radical left. Okay, cool. So I'm technically the radical left. She's calling me a domestic terrorist right now, functionally. This woman represents me in my local geographical area, but she's calling me a domestic terrorist. Marjorie, I believe that workers should own the means of production. I believe that the people who put in the blood, sweat, and tears into any particular company are the ones who deserve its ownership and therefore the fruits of its labor. I believe that an environment where workers are democratically owning and selecting their own supervisors in any given company is one where they will be able to be paid a living wage more often. These are the types of things that make me a radical leftist according to most United States politics. I believe wholeheartedly that we can afford healthcare for every person in the United States. I believe wholeheartedly that we can have more common sense approaches to several issues in our society that other countries manage to do just fucking fine. These types of things make me a radical leftist, apparently. And according to Marjorie, that also makes me a domestic terrorist.
We could even say the Democrats are domestic terrorists because they funded them and they burned down our city streets and rioted in 2020.
All Democrats, domestic terrorists, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's where we are.
So if we're going to put labels on people, we should put labels where they appropriately belong, not on Christians and not on people who love their country and want to take care of it.
So can we talk about that for a second? There are Christians who are Democrats, so that statement is vapid. It functionally means nothing. Also, people who love their country, you can love your country and still end up being a fucking terrorist. A terrorist, all a terrorist is somebody who engages in extreme actions, usually violence, for the purpose of political change. That's what it is. A terrorist is somebody who uses violence, intimidation, especially against civilians, in order to incite political change. That is the definition of a terrorist. If you or your organization is engaging in violence or intimidation specifically to enact political change, and you do this against civilians, I think calling everybody from one particular political party in the United States can actually count as that. That's a form of intimidation. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene projecting. But that's not all we have to talk about where she's concerned, unfortunately, because does anybody like dead memes? So every politician ever? Yeah. Does anybody like dead memes? Memes that have long since lost their relevance. I like dead memes. Sometimes. Over 9,000 is a pretty dead meme, but you know, it's still kind of funny. You know who's also a dead meme? Milo in Indianapolis. Milo in Indianapolis was a far-right troll who got himself a shit ton of notoriety within the alt-right movement for being one of the good ones who happened to be gay. In recent times, he's been trying to gain some kind of notoriety by no longer being gay. He stopped being gay, according to himself, and now is trying to create conversion therapy centers so that he can help other people become the not gay like him. This is also a person that tries to argue that atheists do not have issues with political Christianity trying to step on them and their values, and yet we have plenty of examples of that happening. So I want to give that context to who Milo Indianapolis is. He's a man who wants conversion therapy, and he's just been hired by Marjorie Taylor Greene. I wanted this to be an Onion article. I wanted this to be fake. I wanted this to not be real. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, representative of me in my district in Georgia, has hired Milo Indianapolis. All right. Oh, can I just say something real quick? It is always ethical to protest in front of a conversion therapy clinic. It is always ethical to inconvenience everyone who works there, and especially the founders of them. Just throwing that out there. Okay? Okay. Now, my question is why the fuck this is a thing that we have to deal with? Why do we have to deal with this? Doesn't make any sense to me. Let's go ahead and take a look at an article on this. Right-wing provocateur Milo Indianapolis is working as an unpaid intern in the congressional office of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. I could literally walk. I could literally walk to this shit. Indianapolis announced the job on his Telegram account Monday with a photo of his official intern congressional badge. He said he's finally been persuaded out of retirement, but my skills are a bit rusty, so the best role I could land was an unpaid internship with a friend. Pray for me. Marjorie Taylor Greene makes $140,000 a year as a politician. Can we talk about the fact that unpaid internships are nightmarishly stupid and have no business existing in a modern society? I'm not saying that that Milo Indianapolis deserves to be paid. I think he deserves to be homeless on the street, but that's just my thoughts. Said, Mummy always said I'd end up in government, the British commenter added. Green's office confirmed to The Hill that Indianapolis is indeed an intern. Yiannopoulos, who formerly worked at Breitbart, rose to prominence in the mid-2010s for his incendiary stances on feminism, Islam, and other hot-button issues, but fell out of the public conversation after intense backlash. He was disinvited from the Conservative Political Action Conference in 2017 after a video circulated in which he appeared to defend pedophilia. He was banned from Twitter in 2016 and Facebook in 2019. Australia banned him from entering the country in 2019 following comments he made about the Christchurch mass shooting at a New Zealand mosque. Last year, he announced that he is ex-gay. He's been spotted at some of Green's public appearances in recent months, and in late April, he attended a press conference where Green announced legislation to repeal and replace Section 230, the law that protects online platforms from liability. At that press conference, Green said she wanted to invite Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who is in the process of buying Twitter, to a roundtable of unjustly banned from Twitter people. She said that she would want Indianapolis to be at the roundtable as well as InfoWars conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. The company you keep, I guess. In early May, Indianapolis was spotted backstage with Green's team at a GOP primary debate, the Washington Examiner reported. That's where we are. So not only is Marjorie Taylor Greene incredibly stupid, thinking that Christian nationalism is going to magically save the United States from problems that exact same jingoistic nationalism has created, she also is hiring people like Milo to work for her. Not paying them a dime, by the way, as far as we can tell. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, she wants Alex Jones to be a consular. Yes. I'm sorry, Marjorie is probably one of the most dangerous people in American politics right now because of her, not ineptitude, but her connection to every single far-right conspiracy theory chugging jackass. This is the type of person who can create a power ladder for themselves. Her, Ron DeSantis as well. At this point, Lauren Boebert is just a dumb meme. At this point, Lauren Boebert, maybe it's just my proximity. Maybe it's my proximity. But I find her to be an incredibly dangerous politician now. Yeah, Harambe's death put us on the darkest timeline. I will tell my future children, it all started when that fucking monkey got shot. So this is the result of decades of Republicans causing brain rot in the American populace. Yeah, imagine a table. Elon Musk, noted person who definitely never profited off of exploiting workers. Alex Jones, noted sane person, and Milo Indianapolis, self-described troll, all on the same table with Marjorie Taylor fucking Greene. I just want mercy. I just want it to end sometimes. But this is where I throw thoughts at you. My perspective has been given here. I want to know y'all's perspective in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you live in Georgia, please, can we please vote her out? Please? If you are in Georgia in District 14 and you have the ability to vote, please vote. Please do. And don't vote third party. Please don't fucking do that. Just shovel your votes, as much as I don't like saying this, shovel your votes at Marcus Flowers and let's get Marjorie out of her seat. Please. I am so tired of this person having even a modicum of power and pay. Anyways, insert end of video tagline here.